The vanishing. The command deck of the EFS Horizon fell silent as Captain Elise Novik watched Earth burning on the main view screen. Orbital defense platforms, humanity's last line of defense, exploded one by one as Zoltorian dreadnoughts tore through them like tissue paper. The planet's atmosphere glowed orange where the alien weapons had scorched entire continents. "Captain, we need to make the jump now," urged Commander Jackson Way, his normally calm voice straining with urgency. "The Zoltorians have detected our position. 3 warships are breaking formation to intercept us." Elise's fingers dug into the armrests of her command chair. As the senior officer of what remained of Earth's defense fleet, 12 ships carrying almost 20,000 military personnel and civilian refugees, she carried the weight of humanity's survival on her shoulders. "Status of the quantum fold drive," she asked, eyes still fixed on the burning homeworld. Dr. Lydia Ockafer, the fleet's chief scientist, looked up from her console. "The drive is charged and ready, Captain, but I must emphasize again that it hasn't been properly tested. The calculations are sound, but—" "We're out of options, Doctor," Elise cut in. "The Zoltorians have conquered every human colony in the system. Earth is falling. This fleet is all that's left." Lieutenant Marcus Vega at Tactical shouted, "Enemy ships accelerating. Impact of long-range weapons in 45 seconds." Elise took one last look at Earth, humanity's cradle, now its grave. "Send the jump coordinates to all ships. Engage the quantum fold drive on my mark." She paused, drawing a deep breath. 3, 2, 1 mark. The universe seemed to hold its breath. The stars on the view screen stretched impossibly, then twisted into spirals of light. The ship shuddered violently as reality itself warped around the fleet. Elise felt a strange sensation, as if her body was simultaneously compressed to the size of an atom and stretched across light years. Then everything went wrong. Alarms blared across the command deck. The blue-white energy field surrounding the ships flared crimson. "The drive is destabilizing," Dr. Ockafer shouted over the cacophony. "Energy readings are off the charts." "Abort the jump," Elise ordered. "I can't, the system won't respond." Ockafer's hands flew across her console. The crimson light intensified until it was painful to look at. Commander Way shouted something, but his words were lost in a deafening roar as space-time itself twisted around them. Then silence. The alarms stopped. The red light vanished. The view screen showed unfamiliar stars against a backdrop of swirling purple nebulae. "Damage report," Elise called out, her voice sounding strange in the sudden quiet. "No damage, Captain," Way reported, sounding bewildered. "All systems operational, all 12 ships accounted for and intact." "Where are we?" Elise demanded, turning to the navigation station. Lieutenant Naomi Chen shook her head in confusion. "Unknown, Captain. These star patterns don't match any in our database. I can't detect any navigation beacons or communication relays." "Dr. Ockafer," Elise turned to the scientist, whose dark skin had paled noticeably. "The quantum fold drive was designed to create a temporary wormhole through space," Ockafer explained, her voice unsteady. "But something caused it to fold us sideways into a pocket dimension. We're in a bubble of space-time separated from our normal universe." A stunned silence fell over the command deck. "Can we get back?" Commander Way finally asked. "I don't know," Ockafer admitted. "We'd need to recreate the exact conditions that brought us here, but in reverse. It could take weeks just to understand what happened." Elise stood up from her command chair and walked to the view screen, staring at the alien stars surrounding her fleet. 20,000 souls, perhaps the last free humans in existence, were now lost beyond the known universe. "Captain," Way said quietly beside her, "the Zoltorians believe they've destroyed or captured all of humanity. They think they've won." "Then we make sure they're wrong," Elise replied, her jaw set with determination. "Assemble all ship captains for an emergency conference, and get me a full inventory of our resources. If we're going to survive here long enough to find a way home, we need to know exactly what we're working with." As the crew rushed to comply with her orders, Elise continued gazing at the strange stars. Their mission to escape had failed, but perhaps they had been given something even more valuable: time. 8 months passed in their pocket dimension as the fleet adapted to their new reality. They converted cargo holds into hydroponic gardens. Engineers repurposed mining equipment to extract resources from asteroids in this strange region of space. Communities formed, children were born, and a fragile hope took root. Elise stood in the main science lab aboard the Horizon, surrounded by holographic displays showing complex equations and simulations. Dr. Ockafer pointed to a visualization of their jump. "We've figured it out, Captain," she said, her eyes bright with excitement despite her exhaustion. The quantum fold drive didn't just move us through space, it moved us through time as well. Explain, Elise said, crossing her arms. This pocket dimension exists alongside normal space, but time flows differently here, much slower. Okafor adjusted the simulation. For every month that passes for us, approximately 5 years pass in normal space. Commander Wei, who had joined them for the briefing, inhaled sharply. So while we've been gone 8 months. Nearly 40 years have passed back home, Elise finished, her face grim. The war could be long over, Wei said quietly. We need to get back now, Elise declared. What's our status? We've repaired and modified the quantum fold drive based on what we've learned, Okafor reported. We can create a reverse fold that should take us back to normal space. Should, Elise asked. It's not without risk, Okafor admitted, but we've run thousands of simulations, the math checks out. Elise nodded. And our ships? All 12 are ready, Wei confirmed. Crews are at full combat readiness. We've used our time here well, Captain. The fleet has been training, running drills. We've even managed to improve some of our weapon systems using technology we've discovered in this dimension. Good, we may need every advantage, Elise said. She turned to Communications Officer Lieutenant Olivia Park. Any success contacting normal space? Park looked up from her console. Yes, Captain, I've modified our communication array to send signals across the dimensional barrier. They're weak and I can only receive, not transmit, but I've been intercepting scattered transmissions for the past week. And, Elise prompted. Park's expression darkened. It's complicated. The Zaltorians control most of Earth and the colonies, but they've grown complacent. They believe they exterminated humanity decades ago, except for small groups they keep as slave labor. They've settled into ruling our worlds. Elise's eyes narrowed. They think humanity is extinct. For all practical purposes we are, Wei said softly, a conquered species reduced to slaves. Then they're in for a surprise. Elise walked to the viewport, looking out at the strange stars of their temporary home. We're going back, and this time we have the element of surprise. She turned to face her officers, her expression resolute. The Zaltorians thought they destroyed humanity 40 years ago. They've forgotten what it means to face humans fighting for their survival. It's time to remind them. Dr. Okafor nodded. I'll begin preparations for the jump immediately. Wait, Elise raised a hand. Before we go, there's something else we need to discuss. She tapped a control panel, bringing up images of strange crystalline structures they discovered in this pocket dimension. These energy crystals we've found, they're unlike anything in our records if we can integrate them into our weapons systems. We could potentially triple our firepower, Wei finished, understanding dawning on his face. Exactly, Elise confirmed. The Zaltorians think humanity is gone. Let's make sure when we return, they never forget we were there. 3 weeks later, 12 ships hovered at the jump coordinates, their hulls now laced with glowing crystalline veins. On the command deck of the Horizon, Elise watched as the final preparations were completed. All ships report ready, Captain, Wei announced. Elise nodded. Signal the fleet. Engage quantum fold drive on my mark. She took a deep breath, thinking of Earth, of home, 40 years changed under alien rule. 3, 2, 1 marked. The stars began to twist and stretch once more, but this time the energy field remained a stable blue-white. As reality warped around them, Elise thought of the ancient human saying, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." The Zaltorians had failed to kill humanity. Now they would learn just how strong the survivors had become. The return. The fleet emerged from the quantum fold in the outer reaches of the Kuiper Belt, far from any Zaltorian outposts. On the bridge of the EFS Horizon, Captain Elise Novik studied the familiar configuration of stars with a mixture of relief and apprehension. Confirmation, Captain, Lieutenant Chen reported from navigation. Star patterns match our records. We're back in our home system, Sol. Any ships nearby? Elise asked, her voice calm despite the tension coiling in her stomach. None detected within sensor range, Lieutenant Vega answered from tactical. We're alone out here. Elise nodded. Good, keep our emissions low and engage stealth systems. We need to assess the situation before announcing our return. Commander Wei approached her chair. Hard to believe it's been 40 years, he said quietly. For Earth, for us it's been less than a year, Elise reminded him. The temporal displacement still felt surreal. Colleagues, friends, and family who had been left behind would now be elderly or dead. Earth itself would be transformed under 4 decades of Zaltorian rule. Lieutenant Park, she called to the communications officer, begin passive monitoring of all frequencies. Let's see what we're dealing with. Over the next 12 hours, Park and her team worked to decrypt and analyze the transmissions flowing through the solar system. The picture that emerged was grim but not hopeless. The Zaltorians had indeed conquered Earth and established their dominion over the colonies, but they had grown complacent in their victory. Their numbers in the system had dwindled as they spread their forces across other conquered territories in neighboring star systems. Captain Park called finally, "I've found something interesting, encrypted transmissions using an old Earth military protocol heavily modified. I think humans are still fighting." Elise moved to Park's station. "Can you pinpoint the source?" The signals are bouncing between relay stations, but they appear to originate from the asteroid belt, primarily around Ceres. Elise exchanged a glance with Wei. The mining colonies make sense, they'd have resources, defensive positions. "Should we attempt contact?" Wei asked. Elise considered this carefully. "Not yet. If there's an organized resistance, we don't want to compromise their security. First, we need more intelligence." She turned to Vega. "Prepare a stealth reconnaissance drone. Let's get eyes on Earth and the major colonies." The drone's findings painted a stark picture. Earth's once blue oceans were tinged with rust, its atmosphere hazy with industrial pollutants. Massive Zaltorian structures dominated the skylines of major cities, their crystalline architecture alien and imposing. Human populations were concentrated in work camps surrounding manufacturing centers and mines. But the most alarming discovery was on the far side of the moon. A massive weapon under construction, its barrel aimed directly at Earth. "It's a planetary cannon," Dr. Akafer explained, analyzing the drone's data. "From these energy readings, it appears capable of rendering Earth's surface uninhabitable in a single blast." "Why would they build a weapon to destroy a planet they've already conquered?" Wei asked. "Insurance," Elise replied grimly. "If they can't hold Earth, they'll make sure no one else can have it either." She studied the tactical display. "When will it be operational?" "Based on the construction patterns and energy grid, I'd estimate 2 weeks at most," Akafer answered. Elise's jaw tightened. "Then we have our first target, but before we make any moves, we need allies." She turned to Park. "It's time to make contact with the Resistance. Send a tight beam transmission to Ceres using the old Earth protocols. Keep it simple. Humanity remembers. The horizon has returned." The response came 3 hours later, cautious, suspicious, but hopeful. A face appeared on the main view screen, that of a woman in her 60s with hard eyes and deep scars across her weathered face. "This is General Diana Howard of the Human Liberation Force," she announced. "If this is a Zaltorian trick, you should know we've killed your kind for less." Elise stepped forward. "This is Captain Elise Novak of the Earth Fleet ship Horizon. We are not a trick, General, we're survivors." Howard's eyes narrowed. "Novak, the Elise Novak who commanded the last evacuation fleet, you and your ships disappeared 42 years ago. You were presumed destroyed." "Not destroyed, displaced," Elise explained. "Our quantum fold drive malfunctioned. We've been trapped in a pocket dimension where time flows differently. For us, it's been less than a year." Howard studied her face, looking for deception. "If you're really human, if you're really who you claim to be, then prove it. Tell me something only Fleet Command would know." "Operation Firewall," Elise replied without hesitation. "Earth's last contingency plan if all else failed, to detonate nuclear charges in Earth's core rather than surrender to alien occupation. It was never executed because President Lowell couldn't give the order." Howard's stern expression softened slightly. "My God, it really is you." She leaned closer to the screen. "Captain, you have no idea what your return could mean for us. The Resistance has been fighting for decades, but we're losing ground. The Zaltorians are planning something big, a final solution to what they call the human problem." "The planetary cannon," Elise confirmed. "We've seen it." Howard's eyes widened. "Then you know we have little time. The Zaltorians plan to relocate their valuable assets and then sterilize Earth's surface, eliminating the last large concentration of humans in the system." "How many fighters can you field?" Wei asked. "About 5,000 soldiers across the belt, with perhaps 24 modified mining vessels converted to combat." Howard's expression was bleak. "Not enough to assault the moon directly." "You won't have to," Elise said. "My fleet has 12 warships with advanced weaponry the Zaltorians have never encountered. And we have the element of absolute surprise. They believe we were destroyed 40 years ago." For the first time, a spark of genuine hope appeared in Howard's eyes. A ghost fleet returning when humanity needs it most. She straightened her posture. "Captain Novak, I think it's time we discuss strategy." 3 days later, as the Zaltorian commander Archon Zexkalir inspected the final calibrations of the planetary cannon, alarms blared across the lunar installation. "What is happening?" he demanded, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of irritation in his species. "Unknown vessels approaching from multiple vectors." his subordinate reported, mandibles clicking anxiously. They don't match any known configuration in our database. Show me, Zexcalier ordered. The holographic display activated, showing 12 ships with distinctly human design but altered with strange crystalline growths along their hulls. The ships moved in perfect formation, their weapons hot and ready. Impossible, the Archon whispered. The human fleet was destroyed in the final battle, we confirmed it. Receiving transmission from the lead vessel, the communications officer announced. The viewscreen flickered to life, showing a human female in a uniform Zexcalier recognized from historical records. An Earth Defense Fleet captain's uniform, perfectly preserved as if from another time. This is Captain Elise Novik of the Earth Defense Fleet, the human said, her voice calm and measured. For 42 years you've believed humanity was defeated. You were wrong. We demand the immediate surrender of all Zaltorian forces in the Sol system. Zexcalier's translator implant detected no fear in her voice, only absolute conviction. You are 12 ships against an empire, he replied. Whatever trick allowed you to survive and return, it will not save you. Earth belongs to the Zaltorian Dominion now. I didn't expect you to surrender, Novik responded. I just wanted you to see our faces before we take back what's ours. The transmission cut. Moments later, the 12 human vessels executed a maneuver that should have been impossible, seeming to flicker in and out of reality as they bypassed the lunar defense grid entirely. How did they? Zexcalier began, but his question was cut short as the first crystalline energy beams lanced from the human ships, cutting through Zaltorian shields as if they weren't there. Simultaneously, across the asteroid belt, mining installations erupted with activity as disguised human fighters launched their coordinated attack. On Earth itself, labor camps exploded into rebellion as resistance cells, forewarned of the coming battle, rose up against their oppressors. On the bridge of the horizon, Elise watched as the planetary cannon installation exploded in a brilliant flash. Target neutralized, Vega reported, unable to keep the satisfaction from his voice. The Zaltorian command ship is attempting to retreat, Wei added. Shall we pursue? No, Elise decided. Let it go. I want them to carry the message back to their homeworld. Humanity is not extinct. We've returned and we're taking back what's ours. She turned to the tactical display showing the battles unfolding across the system. Humanity fighting with a ferocity born of decades of oppression and newfound hope. Captain, Park called out, I'm receiving transmissions from Earth. The rebellions are succeeding in major population centers. General Howard reports the series contingent has secured the main Zaltorian supply depot. And our fleet, Elise asked. All ships report minimal damage, Wei confirmed. The crystalline weapons are more effective than we anticipated. The Zaltorians have no defense against them. Elise allowed herself a small smile. They thought they'd conquered a dying species. They never expected to face humans who had time to adapt, to evolve, to grow stronger. She looked at the image of Earth on the main view screen, still scarred, still wounded, but now with the promise of liberation. Signal all ships, she ordered. Phase 2 begins now, we're going home. As the horizon led the fleet toward Earth's orbit, Elise thought about the strange twist of fate that had sent them through time and space only to return when humanity needed them most. The Zaltorians had believed humanity was gone, until the sky filled with warships they thought destroyed decades ago. They would learn what countless others throughout history had discovered. Humanity was at its most dangerous when fighting for survival. And now, after 42 years of oppression, humanity would take back the stars, one world at a time. Behind the fleet, the wreckage of the planetary cannon drifted in lunar orbit, a monument to the day when extinction became revolution. The day humanity returned.